right now against Israel. The Iranians are launching waves of missiles toward Israel. We have seen interceptions here over the city of Haifa that sits about 17 miles from the border with Lebanon. As we speak, I can see these alerts coming in on my phone all over this country right now. And they're coming in so quickly you can't even scroll through them, all over. At the same time, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Beersheba. Iran is launching an unprecedented attack against Israel in real time. We have seen in action Israel's most advanced air defense system, the Arrow system, coming off of the skyline of the eastern part of this country. Remember, Israel is a country of just over 9 million people. The vast majority of Israelis right now are in bomb shelters as missiles rain down. It comes as the country is not only at war with Hamas and Islamic Jihad inside Gaza, they are also now fighting a ground war in southern Lebanon against Iran's largest proxy of Hezbollah. I can just feel the alerts going off here in my pocket as, I mean, this country has not seen an attack at this level since April. And at least according to the information that we have now, this appears to be of a much larger caliber. And I'll tell you why. Because back in April, Israel and the United States and coalition partners had a heads up. Iran was making very clear that they were going to respond to an Israeli strike against an IRGC official at their embassy in Damascus, Syria. In the attack that they launched in April, we saw first a wave of drones. Those take about 2 hours to get here from Iranian territory. It gave this country not only time to get jets in the sky to the east over Jordan and shoot down some of those incoming drones and missiles, but also those coalition jets to get in the sky. Ballistic missiles take 12 minutes to get from Iran to Israel. And so over the past 30 minutes, we have just seen these waves of missiles striking different areas of Israel. We don't know exactly how many of them have actually landed and how many have been intercepted because the attack is still ongoing in real time. And I'm just reading the list here. It's hard to describe just how many areas of Israel are under attack. It is fair to say the entire country is taking missile fire at this moment. And when we talk about the interceptions that are taking place, the Arrow system is capable of shooting down incoming ballistic missiles, but they don't have an unlimited supply of interceptors. And so Iran is clearly, by sending waves of missiles, trying to overwhelm Israel's missile defense system, likely in response not only to the killing of Hassan Nasrallah in Beirut last weekend, the leader of Iran's largest proxy, Hezbollah, in the Middle East, but also an open tab for the Iranians, the death of Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas, who was killed in an explosion in the Iranian capital of Tehran over the summer at the inauguration ceremony for Masoud Pezeshkian, the new Iranian president. And so just to recap here what we know at this moment, John and Sandra, there is a ballistic missile attack unfolding as we speak against Israel. It has been launched from Iranian territory. And I'm just going to grab these notes here from my producer. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps saying the missile launches are in retaliation, as we just talked about, for the killing of Haniyeh. That is the previous leader of Hamas's political wing. Nasrallah, Hassan Nasrallah, the Secretary General of Hezbollah, who was just killed in an Israeli strike in Beirut over the weekend. And also, for another top Iranian official, this is the deputy commander who was alongside Nasrallah when he was killed in the Lebanese capital over the weekend. I'm going to just read through these notes here as we're talking, because there are multiple stories unfolding at the same time. We're also getting an update about that shooting attack that occurred earlier just south of Tel Aviv, just before this missile attack began, in Jaffa, that sits just to the south of Tel Aviv at a newly built light rail station. We saw those initial images and reports, according to first responders, of 2 gunmen on the scene. Now, local medics are saying 4 people were killed in that shooting attack, 7 wounded. 2 shooters neutralized. Again, that is according to first responders, and that is confirmed by local police in Tel Aviv. So again, as we follow these 2 developing stories here out of the region, significant significant developments on the ground. The Iranians launching a ballistic missile attack against Israel in waves, trying to overwhelm Israel's missile defense system. Currently, the Arrow defense system, their highest tier system, is intercepting some of this incoming fire. It is a system that's been used since the beginning of the conflict that started nearly a year ago with the October 7th massacre. It has now unraveled into a broader regional war. At this point, the real fear for the Israelis and for the Americans is that this will unravel further. And it's part of the reason that you have coalition forces around. I want to just, as we're speaking here, open a message feed that I have with a top Israeli defense official who likely responded to two questions that I asked over the past several minutes. And so, according to an Israeli defense official, the Israelis are speaking with their counterparts, and just before this ballistic missile attack began, this top Israeli official said the Israelis were coordinating with CENTCOM. This is an indication that likely the Americans, again, had some level of knowledge that this was going to take place. Both the Israelis and the Americans were observing Iranian activity beforehand. That's why there was a level of alert issued to the Israeli people through Israel's communication Homefront Command that warns people to go to shelters and to stay close to protected areas. This source goes on to say they are bracing for a wide-scale attack that is currently unfolding, including the center of this country. And as we have seen, this attack is not just targeting the center of Israel, but the entirety of the Jewish state. Guys?
So, Trey, just to give you a chance to catch your breath here, I had a graphic made up of that alert system. Let's put it up on the screen right now. This is an app that we get on our phones here, folks who are there in the Middle East and those of us who have been. Literally, the entire country, as far south as the southern tip of the Dead Sea and all the way up almost to the border with Lebanon, is bright red with all of these alerts. I mean, dozens and dozens of alerts as these missiles have been coming in. So far, Trey, the good news seems to be, based on what we're seeing from your video there and the live video that we have up of Tel Aviv, that, we're not seeing anything that looks like missiles that have impacted in any significant way on the ground. There's no fires.
Alrighty, guys. Obviously, we are bringing you guys breaking news coverage at the moment of the attack in Israel from Iran. We were going to keep that queued up for you guys if anything new breaks from that. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live. Obviously, this is a serious escalation in the geopolitical sense. We're going to bring you guys as much stuff as we can. At the moment, is this one of them? Yes, there are mass shootings going on in Tel Aviv right now. Here, you heard Trey Yingst from Fox News, who's on the ground in Israel, which is why we brought it to you. Here's some footage out of that mass shooting. There are currently multiple reports of bombs being dropped all over the place in Israel. Let me see if I can get this up for you real quick. This comes from Colin Rugg over on Twitter. Oh, where the hell is it? Boom, there it is.
Oh, God. Okay, guys, we got to get off the roof. These are coming down right next to us here. They're coming down. One just about. We got to go inside. Into the ground. It's like a deadly fireworks display over Tel Aviv. Goodness, there was an impact just to the left of us here.
Absolutely harrowing footage coming out of Tel Aviv, coming out of Israel as Iran responds to the killing of the leader of Hezbollah over the course of the last couple of days. We're gonna keep bringing you guys whatever footage we can get. Here is who is this? This is footage from Brian Krasenstein. Absolutely terrifying stuff coming out of Israel right now. Let's see, what else do we have here? The scenes are absolutely incredible right now. Here's one from Drew Hernandez. Imagine having to live like this, guys. Imagine that. Imagine having to live with this happening around you at all times. And yet there will be people online attempting to justify this. Obviously, look, you can, this is some wild stuff, man. This is wild stuff coming out of Israel at the moment. Absolutely terrifying. Let's see, Bub, let me get rid of this. We are going to go back to Trey Yingst at Fox News.
Targeted when they responded to the April attack against Israel. When the ballistic and cruise missiles were launched from Iranian territory then in April, the Israelis responded by striking the air defense systems outside of one of Iran's largest nuclear facilities. And I spoke with Israeli officials after that in Tel Aviv, asking them why, beyond the obvious reasons. And they said they wanted to send a message. They wanted to send a message to the Iranian regime that Israeli jets and missiles have the capability to hit Iranian targets, including their nuclear facilities. And this is the big X factor here in all of this. And as we talk about the developments on the ground here with this unfolding ballistic missile attack, what appears to be in the low hundreds of ballistic missiles fired toward Israel from Iranian territory in response, according to Iran's IRGC, to the killing of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. We should talk about Iran's nuclear program because Israeli officials, some of them are of the belief that this is an opportunity for Israel. They have watched Iran not only develop their missile program that is now being used to target Israel, as Israeli officials warned over the past several years, but the real concern is their nuclear program because according to top nuclear watchdogs, the Iranians are starting to enrich uranium very close to weapons-grade material. This means their breakout period for a nuclear bomb has been reduced to weeks. And if they have the ability to create a nuclear weapon and attach it to a ballistic missile that they've just shown tonight can reach Israel, it is a catastrophic situation for this country. And so the coming hours and days will be significant to watch what the Israeli response will be. And as we continue to follow the developments on the ground here, we are also watching that developing story. And we'll see if you can get the map back up of Jaffa, just south of Tel Aviv, where officials have updated that 8 people were killed in that shooting attack that just began before the missile attack from Iran started. Guys,
I mean, there's so much happening all at once there. Hey, Trey, just we're going to let you stand by for a second here, but I just wanted to take a look at this statement from Iranian state media that you read there. It said IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, in response to the martyrdom of Ismail Haniyeh, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, and martyr Nilfoshan, so it's for 3, we targeted the heart of the occupied territories. If the Zionist regime reacts to Iran's operations, it will face crushing attacks. The fact that they use the word targeted in the past tense, Trey, might be an indication that this is over. And they're also saying that it's not just for Haniyeh, but it's for Nasrallah and Nilfoshan as well. And basically saying to Israel, don't respond to this because we'll hit back at you again if you do. So I don't know your thoughts about whether this is over or not. And then there's also the question of, does Israel just let this go, or does Israel respond as well? Noting that after the takeout of Nasrallah, Iran moved the Ayatollah Khamenei to a safe, undisclosed location. Trey?
Israeli officials are not likely to let this go. They don't want the dynamic to change, despite the fact that we are clearly stepping up on a regional escalation ladder. And if we could just zoom out here for a second, when we look at the 30,000-foot view of the situation on the ground, Israel over the past year has been directly battling Iranian proxies, not just on the ground in Gaza with Hamas and Islamic Jihad. That's one front, but also with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, which overnight we saw as the Israelis went into southern Lebanon on the ground. We were actually embedded overnight with an Israeli commando unit as they went to a Hezbollah position near to the Israel-Lebanon border. But then you have the Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. That's a third front that just this week was active as they fired a ballistic missile at Tel Aviv. Then you have Iran itself tonight firing ballistic missiles toward Israel. And then you have the West Bank. The Iranians have been pushing weapons and support toward Hamas and Islamic Jihad cells there. And then you have Iran-backed Iraqi and Syrian Shia militias. And so this is a 7-front conflict. And the Israelis feel that they have to, according to officials, escalate to de-escalate. That is the current policy of the Israeli defense echelon in Tel Aviv. And we don't anticipate that will change.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing in Lebanon as well, this idea of escalating to de-escalate. Hey, we got to get some information in from stateside here, Trey. Stand by with this. Sandra, back to you.
We're waiting on an update, reminding our viewers response from the White House. There is a briefing that was originally scheduled for 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. That would be about 14 minutes from now. We'll see if that's still happening, and if so, what the response is from the Biden White House. Also, a State Department briefing is expected top of the hour, 2 o'clock Eastern time. We're also starting to get some brand new reaction in from Congress. Senator Lindsey Graham is calling for an attack. He says this is a breaking point. He's now urging the Biden administration to target Iranian oil refineries. Says these oil refineries need to be hit and hit hard because that is the source of cash for the regime to perpetrate their terror. You are watching, obviously, the night sky there in Israel. Okay, this is what we saw happen late in the last hour. When the missile attacks began, you're going to watch the night sky light up. Let's watch together. The Israeli army confirms nearly 200 missiles were launched into Israel from Iran. Iran's Revolutionary Guard is saying the missile launches are in retaliation for the recent killings of leadership of Hezbollah. Let's bring in Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin on what she is hearing right now from the Pentagon. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Sandra. Well, President Biden called a meeting of his national security advisors and the Vice President Harris today at the White House. That was earlier today. And we've just learned that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke with his counterpart in Israel, Yoav Gallant, earlier today. It was the second time they had spoken in the past 24 hours. Obviously, U.S. military assets are on high alert. We've just learned that the airspace over Israel, Jordan, and Iraq has been closed. That suggests that there could be more activity in the air there. Of course, you have the U.S. warships in the Eastern Mediterranean, the USS Cole, the USS Arleigh Burke, and the USS Bulkley, among others, that are based there. They have on board those missile interceptors that were so crucial back in the April timeframe. And then you have a host of U.S. warships down in the Red Sea, as well as the USS Abraham Lincoln that is closer to Iran in the Arabian Sea. So that is a lot of firepower that the U.S. military has in the region, in addition to 40,000 U.S. troops, as well as squadrons of F-22s, F-15s, among other aircraft that will be utilized in the event that there are more waves of attacks on Israel. The question now, as Trey has pointed out, is how will Israel respond? There's been a warning from the IRGC, from the leaders of Iran, saying do not respond. It is unlikely that Israel will heed that warning. We've heard that Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, plans to lead Friday prayers in Tehran on Friday of this week. That is a very unusual move by the supreme leader. He does not do that frequently. In fact, the last time I can remember him doing that was after the killing of the IRGC General Qasem Soleimani. So Tensions absolutely high. And as Trey mentioned, there are multiple fronts. The Pentagon is watching this very closely and sharing intel in real time with its Israeli counterparts. U.S. Central Command is coordinating all of with Israel as well as Jordan and Iraq and others who are involved in frankly protecting Israel tonight.
And it's John here. So the last time this happened, there was a large coalition that was involved in intercepting the drones and cruise missiles and other projectiles that were shot at Israel. At this point, we don't know if this involved cruise missiles and/or drones or just ballistic missiles. Do you know what extent the U.S. military might have been involved in trying to take down some of these projectiles?
It's not clear at this point, John, but from what it seems in terms of the length of time, as we've been reporting, it takes about 12 minutes for ballistic missiles to come from Tehran. We had expected this attack to start in the 12 o'clock hour. The first impacts, I think, were around 12:37. Sometime in that hour, the missiles were fired. If they had been cruise missiles, it would have taken several hours, and drones take several hours. So my guess is this first round involved mostly ballistic missiles. That's what we're hearing from the IDF. Whether the U.S. Warships were involved, we will have to hear from the Pentagon. We expect a briefing here around 2:30 p.m. But certainly the coalition is really a question mark tonight because we had Saudi Arabia involved, Jordan involved the last time in April that this happened when Iran fired more than 300 missiles into Israel. But it's not clear. There's a lot of frustration in the region that Israel has gone into southern Lebanon with a ground force as well as carrying out those assassinations inside Lebanon. So it's not clear at this point, but it is notable that Jordan closed its airspace. That shows a degree of cooperation right now in terms of trying to protect Israel.
Hey, Jen, just real quick, just reflecting on something you said there about the idea that we knew that this was going to happen probably in the 12 noon hour. Back when Iran responded for the takedown of Soleimani, the United States, President Trump has talked about this, so has Keith Kellogg, that they got a heads up that Iran was going to do something. Do you think the heads up to this came from Iran?
No, that would not have been the case this time, nor in April. We've talked to senior leaders who were involved in and well aware of the intelligence back in April, and there was not a warning. What the U.S. has that is part of its exquisite intelligence network and system of being able to see, that's why we have an NSA, you can see movements through satellite imagery and other methods. And they had seen, in fact, we were told they have seen since mid-August when Ismail Haniyeh was killed in downtown Tehran during the inauguration of the Iranian president, that Iran had been putting its ballistic missile units on high alert with a 12 to 24-hour alert status since mid-August. At the time, there was intense diplomacy by the United States and by the Pentagon to try and...
Alrighty, guys, we are going to bring you all of the live updates happening in Israel at the moment. I've got basically every news channel in the world on right now. I got CBS on over here. I got Fox on over here. We're going to bring you guys everything that is happening in the moment. We're getting reports on Twitter right now from people who are on the ground saying that the Iron Dome system is not knocking down as many of the missiles as previously thought, as the Iron Dome is supposed to do. That's coming from Ian Mile. Oh, Jesus. Let me pop this up on the screen so you guys can see here some of the missiles landing in residential areas in Tel Aviv. We've got this at the moment. The video should restart in a minute. All the missiles coming down. It seems as though they are not stopping as many as they previously thought. Here's the alert system going off all over the state of Israel with the attacks coming from the north. The Iron Dome appears to not be knocking down as many of these missiles. I mean, look, even a sophisticated system like the Iron Dome can only take so much. So for those of you who don't know what the Iron Dome system actually does, they're surface-to-air missiles that basically intercept. If you guys have seen the new Top Gun, those missiles that they fight at the end, Those are stationed all over Israel, and as soon as a missile comes into their airspace, those missiles then shoot it down, leaving the debris obviously to fall on top of the population. And if you shoot enough missiles in, they will eventually run out of defensive capabilities. Once again, continuing to monitor everything going on right now in Israel. Keep it locked in here for that. I'm going to, once again, my name is Kevin Smith. Here, LFA TV, Loud Majority Live, rumble.com/LFA TV. Trying to find as much on this as I can. Donald Trump released a statement a minute ago saying that the world is on fire and spiraling out of control. We have no leadership, no one to run the country. We have a non-existent President Joe Biden, who is a complete absent Vice President Kamala Harris, who is busy fundraising in San Francisco. When I was president, Iran was totally in check. They were starved for cash, fully contained and desperate to make a deal. Kamala flooded them with American cash, and ever since then, we have been exporting terror. They have been exporting terror all over the world and unraveling the Middle East. Under President Trump, we had no war in the Middle East, no war in Europe, and harmony in Asia, no inflation. Blah, blah, we know about that. So that is the statement released from the Donald Trump campaign. Here are more videos. From a former State Department advisor. Let's pop this. Can I make these bigger? Here it is. Boom. Of that coming in real time. Once again, news breaking on Twitter before it breaks anywhere else. We are monitoring everything here. Obviously, guys like Trey Yingst over at Fox News, who are on the ground there in Israel, hope that they are as safe as one can be in this situation. We've got, let's see, we are awaiting word from the White House, but I worry about what comes next. Is this the beginning of a World War III type scenario? Once again, for everyone just tuning in, here is footage. Not only we've been showing you the footage of the bombs dropping on Israel, but here is the footage of a mass shooting that has gone on outside of what appears to be some kind of subway, some kind of train station in Tel Aviv. What will the American response to this be? Still is unknown. We're waiting, obviously. We are waiting to hear from President Joe Biden. Somebody wake him up. Somebody, wow, this is a wild video right here. Check this out. Of bombs falling on Tel Aviv. Obviously a huge population center. Jesus. No one should have to live like this. Now, of course, there'll be people out there, many on the right, many on the left, who will somehow try to justify this situation. Now, I'm as anti-war as they get, but on some level, how long should Israel put up with this sort of stuff? How long should they put up with this? I wouldn't put up with it for very long. I can tell you that real quick. As we're rocking and rolling here, guys, hit the thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place. 1,200 people watching. What do we got? Hit the video. Hit the thumbs up video. Let's throw it back to Fox News real quick. Guys, head on over to lfatv.us. lfatv.us. That's how we can keep bringing you guys this sort of content. Here's Fox with the live update.
Khamenei remains in a secure location after Tehran fired these missiles at Israel. This is a senior Iranian official speaking to Reuters, just reading that off the wire, General. We are left with a lot of questions right now over what the next move will be and who will make it, General.
Yeah, well, I think the next decision is going to be Benjamin Netanyahu, but he's got an absolutely great war cabinet right now. When you look at his general he's got in charge of Halevi, when you look at Gallant, who's his Minister of Defense, that's a very tough-knit a tight-knit circle. And by the way, they're all very aggressive in how they approach the world. Netanyahu has basically said to the world, they said to the United States, we've given you repeated opportunities to bring this thing to a conclusion, to shut this down. And the world has turned another eye. They've said no. I think he's going for the kill. And what I mean by that, he's going to respond quite forcefully. And I think if I was Iran right now, I'd say I think where he'd probably end up going, he's going to make a real key shot. He's either going after nuclear facilities or he's going after the supreme leader. And that's going to set everything in motion for a much wider war in the Middle East. But I think they've just said, the Israelis have said, we're done with this, enough. The same thing they've done with Hezbollah, same thing they did with Hamas. And, you know, to be very candid with you, Sandra, you know, it's probably about time. This is time. It needs to be brought to some type of conclusion. If we're not going to help them conclude it, then they're going to have to do it on their own. And that's probably what they're going to try and do.
Okay. General, if you could stand by with us. We've got all our reporters standing by from Israel to the Pentagon. We're awaiting a White House briefing, State Department top of the hour. Lots of reaction coming in from Congress. But first, I want to throw to this video from just the last few minutes there in Israel. Hard to believe this was just moments ago. As we do know, the IDF was able to intercept those hundreds of missiles that were launched from Iran, raining down all over Israel. John, you referenced that graphic. I mean, this is from north, south, east, west, all over Israel, just in the last 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, you know, the northern part to the central part of Israel, literally just a sea of red with all of those alerts. The only place where there wasn't alerts is down in the south near Eilat and a couple of towns in between. Let's go to Mike Tobin. He is in Haifa, and he's got the latest from there. What have you been seeing so far, Mike?
You know, I want to point out one thing, John, that we have been seeing from this vantage point that has been quite remarkable because it's different than the flurry of incoming rockets, missiles, and the interceptors going up. If we look out over Haifa Bay, now, of course, as we're live, it went away, but we've been watching repeated flares go up just to the north of Haifa Bay. And when the military sends up a flare, clearly there's something on the ground that they want to see. So it's unclear what is going on over there, but we've seen the flares go up repeatedly and just hang in the sky, a couple of flashes on the ground. But to give you an idea of where we are, we're in the north of the country, and as those barrages of missiles were coming in from Iran and some sympathetic rockets coming in from Hezbollah in the north, just to the north of this location, the flurry of interceptors went up. Too many to count. They went up behind the clouds. Sometimes we would see and hear the impacts of the interception. Sometimes we didn't. This is the response to really repeated humiliations at the hands of the IDF to the Iranian proxies. We've been wondering, particularly since the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, when we were going to see something, and this, according to the IRGC, is indeed the response. I think the problem that Iran is going to have going forward, the last time they responded to Israel, it wasn't that effective. What we're seeing right now, it doesn't appear that many of the rockets came through. We'll see how everything is when the smoke's clear. However, Israel is incredibly tense right now. You know that you have this mass shooting in Tel Aviv. There appears to be another attack in the town of Herzliya, just to the north of that. So incredible amounts of tension, but the people in Israel have been given the word that they can come out of the bomb shelters now, but stay close because no one knows what's going to happen in the coming minutes. John?
Yeah, and Mike, it's Sandra here. We do know that airspace has been closed over Israel, as Jen was just reporting, Jordan and Iraq. As we also have been noting, reaction pouring in from Congress. Marco Rubio, the senator, saying large-scale, not symbolic missile attacks from Iranian regime against Israel. A large-scale Israeli retaliatory response inside Iran is certain to follow, he says. Also, the UN. Chief Guterres condemning the broadening of the Middle East conflict, he says, with escalation after escalation. He says this must stop. We absolutely need a ceasefire. Also, an Israeli military spokesperson saying not aware of any injuries from the Iran missile attack. This is just some of what is coming in at this hour, Mike.
Well, right. And the one thing you can think as far as what Israel has done in the coming weeks, Israel's enemies certainly have been angered by these repeated attacks, but Israel is firing at will. The Israeli aircraft are unchallenged in the sky. They flew as far as Yemen the other day, refueling along the way, and made a less than subtle hint that they can travel that distance again. What that means is they can travel the distance to Iran. That was a less than subtle hint to the leadership of Iran. But thus far, what we've seen from the leaders of the regime is threats, talk about retaliation, and then when we see retaliation, it's this barrage of missiles. And it looks like with the redundant layers of missile interceptors, like the Arrow missiles, like David Sling, like the Iron Dome systems, the missiles aren't getting through. So they're successful in raising the tension level. They're successful in inspiring sympathetic attacks, which appears to be what we're dealing with here in Israel. But as far as impacting on the ground, making a real impact, being destructive, they're not being successful. And the Israeli forces are unchallenged in the sky, and they're free to go in the south of Lebanon, really at will. We know that the Israeli Special Forces, I went to a press briefing earlier today, saying that they've been going into Lebanon since November. They've done some 70 operations. They've spent more than 200 nights on the ground, and they were not contacted by the enemy. So the Israelis are able to do whatever they want, and we haven't seen much of a response other than these missile barrages.
All right, Mike Tobin for us, standing by in Haifa. Mike, thank you so much. Let's bring in right now Colonel Miri Eisen, retired colonel from the Israeli Defense Forces. She's now director at the International Institute for Counterterrorism. Miri, we don't know if there's more to come. There may be, so we'll continue to watch very, very closely. But your assessment of where we are at this moment in time and what will unfold in the days ahead.
We've all been waiting to see both what Iran will do, what Hezbollah will do. I still feel in that sense, not only has Israel been on the initiative in the last almost 2 weeks, but when Iran attacks Israel, Israel defends itself. I, for the last half hour, waiting and listening to the program, was in that safe room where the Israel Defense Forces told us what to do. We were responsible. What we understand now is that Iran attacked Israel with such a horrific type of barrage, and I was in my safe room.
Here is more footage. We're going to go back to Fox News in just a moment. Here is more footage. Mike Tobin reporting that it seems as though many of the missiles had been stopped. However, we're getting, let's see, where is it? We're getting footage right now that it seems as though some of them have been getting through. Here's live footage coming from, judging from the velocity of these Iranian missiles, they appear to be hypersonic, which cannot be shot down. Iran's intent was never for Israel to shoot them out of the sky. We're going to keep bringing you guys all the live footage from that. Hang out one sec.
The biggest benefit, honestly, has been with my skin. Skin was more hydrated, more radiant.
This is the best superfood that you could take.
It has all the essential nutrients you need for your skin, your gut, energy, focus, mood, performance.
My hair has gotten so much thicker ever since taking this.
I used to have a probiotic, a green juice that replaced it all with this Arma colostrum. It is amazing.
You gotta take it.
If you want to try it, try arma.com.
And in all of these, I want to say right now, both the support of the United States, that backing CENTCOM and the other forces, and the capabilities of the IDF are kind of what keep us strong. This last, as I said, I mean, for us, the sirens went off. They just let us out of the safe rooms a few minutes ago. We were in it until a few minutes ago. I was sitting with my phone until then. I've come back now to my study. But I say that we feel on the one hand that the IDF protects us, but we very much feel that this should not just be be about Israel alone. The United States has definitely stepped up in that sense. CENTCOM has a great relationship with the Israeli military. But I'd like everybody, as they do on your show, to talk about Iran, about the Islamic regime, about what Hezbollah is and what they do every single day to Israel.
So, Mary, as we look at pictures of the old city in Jerusalem and the Dome of the Rock there in the center of the picture, we wonder what comes after this attack from Iran. This is the second time now, the last time being back on April the 13th, that Iran has directly fired on Israel. Up until April, it was always done through proxies. But now Iran has done this twice. We know after the takeout of Nasrallah last Friday that the Ayatollah Khamenei was moved to a safe location. Do you expect that Israel is going to have to respond to what happened today, and how do you expect that will happen?
We're still in the Middle East. You don't have to do anything. You make choices. In this case, it's about restoring deterrence. I think that Israel in the last 2 weeks has shown a lot of the capabilities that we kind of felt were missing, certainly in the colossal failure of October 7th, and that we did see when Israel intercepted the Iranian incoming missiles on April 13th, 14th. So as I look at it as an Israeli right now, this isn't about tit for tat and revenge. It's about a sovereign country, Iran, for whatever reasons they choose, firing an enormous arsenal against Israel. And this should not be just about Israel. So when you ask what next, how about listening to the world, the Western world, the free world, step up, not just in its rhetoric, but in the way that they approach this Islamic regime in Iran and the way that it uses all of the proxies, the way that the Houthis close a main shipping route for the world from Yemen. And I say that as an Israeli, that it's not about me. We attacked in Yemen yesterday. We have been attacking against Hezbollah in Lebanon and all of the other proxies, and I don't think that we should be doing this alone.
Colonel Eisen, if you could just for a second here, we've got some brand new video, again, reporting that hundreds of missiles have been launched all over Israel. This was the scene over Jerusalem moments ago. Just incredible, and you think about the terror, the fear, Colonel, that this put into the people there and all over the streets, all of whom were told to shelter.
And that sheltering is part of the defense system. We have active defense. Those are the interceptors that were eloquently both shown and described before: Arrow, David Sling, Iron Dome. But we also have what we call passive defense, which means that I, Mary, a colonel, went down into my safe place with the other kid that's at home, that my husband was in a car. He stopped at the side of the road and for 45 minutes was laying next to his car, because you know how to act. That's passive defense. It's the reason that we manage both to defend ourselves, to stay strong and resilient, and we will respond. For a moment, don't think that we won't respond. We're doing so every day, and right now I really do feel that our initiative, both against Hezbollah inside Lebanon, but whatever response we have to Iran, is, again, not just about Israel. It's about this horrific Islamic regime, the instability that it does. And at the end, I'm a person. It has not been a very nice time in these last 2 hours, and here I am sitting strong inside my house, and that's what we continue to do.
Thank God for that.
You know, the resilience of the Israeli people really is something to behold. Mary Eisen, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Let's now bring in Aaron Cohen, former member of the Israel Special Operations Counter-Terrorist Unit. Aaron, as we bring you in, some news to report. According to Admiral Daniel Hagari, no casualties in this ballistic missile attack. The airspace has been reopened. People have been let out of the shelters that they took refuge in. Your assessment of where we are on this night in Israel?
Well, John, what you're seeing right now is the direct result of one of the finest special counter-terror operations in the world, directed at Hezbollah. Israel, after 11, 12 days, completely dismantled the senior leadership of that organization. And I'll tell you, in the Middle East, there's a lot of big egos, a lot of big posturing. But Israel has a multi-layered defense system, as Reserve Colonel Miri just said, the Iron Dome, David Sling, an incredible infrastructure of bomb shelters throughout the country. It's mandatory as part of the zoning. But Israel is actively engaged in operations in southern Lebanon right now. Iran is doing the exact same thing that happened a couple of months ago, which is they're firing a barrage of ballistic missiles. But the fact is there wasn't a nuclear missile that was fired from Iran, which leads me to believe that Israel is doing everything it can right now to decide whether or not they want to attack that Iranian nuclear facility in Tormuz. And there's other operational plans that Israel's eyeing very closely right now in Iran, including Shah Island, which is where all of that oil gets refined. So right now, that little tit for tat, Israel is deciding whether or not, at this point, now that everything's going to start getting quiet, whether they're going to launch another counterstrike, or if this is just Iran spitting out that last, like we say in Arabic, kalban, that bark. Is this their last bark, or is it time for Israel to escalate and then start penetrating into Iran? And I think Iran has been looking for an out, John. That's what I truly believe. After the embarrassment of what happened with Hezbollah, Ismail Haniyeh getting killed in the center of Tehran in a highly secure police build, estate, if you will. It's a lot of egg on Iran's face right now. So these egos have been hit. Now it's a question of whether the quiet conversations are happening between Iran and U.S. intelligence and Mossad. Are we going to continue to push back now and escalate, or is this thing going to quiet down? So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I think we're going to see some potential quiet special operations retaliatory activity after this, but really the focus is going to be on Hezbollah. They're the immediate threat. Although missiles are landing in Israel, John, no deaths reported. Israel's got the security abilities to be able to cover and protect the Israeli people. And so I think this is Iran looking for their out, if I had to guess, John. Trying to keep that posture and look tough at the same time.
All right, so we are getting some updates, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll ask you where you do see this going next based on what I can tell you is happening right now. Lebanon's Minister of Transport says airspace will temporarily be closed to air traffic. That's going to be another 2 hours. Israel's reopened its airspace. Takeoffs and landings to resume in the coming hour, according to the airport authority. The Jordan army is issuing a statement saying its forces in a state of readiness at this hour to confront any attempts that threaten kingdom's security. This is also a statement from an Israeli military spokesperson saying very few injuries. There are very few injuries after this Iranian missile strike, and that the public can now exit their bomb shelters. Also appears that we're getting a statement from the Israeli military that the missile attack from Iran was over and people could leave air raid shelters. In that statement, it reads, following the situational assessment, it was decided that it is now permitted to leave protected spaces in all areas across the country. Based on all of that, what do you see the coming hours looking like here as we do look at nearly the 9 o'clock hour there in Jerusalem?
Well, guys, here's what I think. I think that the fact that the IDF and the Israeli security authorities have decided to open up the airspace in the next coming hours, residents are now allowed to leave their houses, and they're about to get on with business, tells me that this was a limited strike. It tells me that this was a posturing attack, very similar to what Iran did a couple of months ago. And I think the real operational focus is going to continue to be Hezbollah, who's strategically aligned along that southern border in Lebanon, which poses an imminent threat to Israel. And what I mean by that is Hezbollah's fired up to 10,000 rockets over the last 11 months at Israel. Israeli special operations forces have entered southern Lebanon. And I think the continued dismantling of the Hezbollah infrastructure, along with limited operations that continue in Gaza, are going to be the focus. Israel did find out about imminent plans through their intelligence apparatus that Hezbollah was planning to infiltrate the northern portion of Israel into the Galilee region for the purpose of creating another October 7th style attack. Those are very, very real. And so Israel is focused on the imminent threat I believe this was limited. Israelis allowed to leave their house right now tells me that this wave of missile attacks is over. And this tells me that there are conversations that are happening with Iranian intelligence officials, U.S. intelligence officials, and quietly with Israeli Mossad intelligence officials, relaying that information. This is just that bark of the Middle East. Iran trying to look tough. But Hezbollah, now that Nasser Nasrallah has been killed with the 10,000 plus rockets that were fired into Israel, that is the focus of the Israel defense apparatus. And Israel will continue to dismantle that infrastructure. And Iran, I believe, is smart enough to understand that anything past what we just saw in the last couple of hours here will result in very aggressive, let me say this, preemptive strike operations targeted at Iran, Iran's military infrastructure, their oil refinery system. Israel, the soul of her operational capability lies in that aggression. And I believe Iran launched those missiles because they're prepared to lay down. They do not want to be unalived, just like the entire leadership of Hezbollah and Hamas were unalived. Systematically, nobody is better at killing terrorists than Israel, and Iran knows that.
Well, certainly what they've done in Lebanon is like that's one for the textbooks, I guess.
That's
going
right, John.
forward. Yeah. All right,
Okay. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us.
So we're waiting the White House briefing, top of the hour it's supposed to be. We've also got a State Department briefing coming up as well. Jillian Turner is there. She is at the State Department. And Jillian, if indeed, as Aaron Cohen was saying, this is it, people are being told that they can go about their business. This would be twice now that Iran has fully taken on Israel and proven really to be a toothless tiger.
It would be, John. We're right now awaiting, as you said.
The biggest benefit, honestly, has been
Alrighty, guys. We are going to keep bringing you guys any of the updates coming out of that. Did World War III just start? One really does not know. We will see what happens here. We are, of course, waiting a briefing from both the State Department and the White House following this. That'll probably lead us into the 2 o'clock hour. Once again, my name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning into Loud Majority Live as we bring you the breaking coverage of Iran's attack in Israel. Some people were questioning what this has to do with America. Well, if you're wondering what this has to do with America, apparently you haven't really been awake for the last, 80 years or so. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of repercussions from this, both from us and from the global community. You're already getting Lindsey Graham out there talking about America bombing Iran. So if there's anybody out there sitting next to Lindsey Graham, can you please put him in a closet for the next couple of days so he can pipe down? Because no thank you. No thank you on that. Lindsey Graham, why don't you just stop talking for a while there? Wild stuff. Of course, it's got to be Lindsey Graham. Want to say hello to everybody. I actually had some huge breaking news I was going to talk about today, but I guess I'll have to save that for another day. Big breaking news on my personal front that I want to share with all of you. I was going to go off on one of my local officials today, but I guess I'll save that for tomorrow. It lives 10 minutes down the Kevin Smith lives 10. Ms. DeBeat. Kevin Smith lives 20 minutes down the road from me. Should I be worried? Let's get this live chat up onto the screen. I've got a chance to say hello to everybody today. What up? What up, Savvy? Watching over there on X. I guess we could be friends again after my boys whooped your Braves yesterday. What's up, Arrow Pink? How are you? Somebody is on their way to my house. Oh, all right. Well, that's terrifying. Come on by. Anytime you want. Just bring some beers. Whatever. Shout out to everybody, guys. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. Share the video out. all over the place as we are bringing you the breaking news coverage coming out of Israel following the Iranian strike. Hey, Kevin, it's a crazy world out there. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. You guys are going to have to tune in tomorrow or maybe tonight. Maybe I'll do it tonight. Maybe I'll announce the big news tonight for anybody living in like Northern Virginia, D.C. area. I may be coming to see you all in the very near future. Super excited about that. You guys, if you're watching tonight, 7 p.m., I'm going to be doing pre-debate coverage and post-debate coverage. Keep it locked right in here. Super excited about that. I'm getting a text message right now. What's happening? I'm getting a text right now. Ladybug Graham loves a good war. Yes, he does. Yes, he absolutely does. Once again, guys, keep it locked in here tonight, 7 p.m. I'm going to be hosting debate coverage here on LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV. I might even dress up for it. Maybe I'll even announce the big news tonight. 7 o'clock, you got to tune in. 7 o'clock, you got to tune in. Yeah, you know what? I'll do it tonight. I will definitely do it tonight. Guys, before we keep rocking and rolling here, I only got a couple minutes left. I had so many things to talk about. Why are we not focusing on our own people? We have devastation here, too. Well, just in case anybody's curious about that, here is what a real hero does when things get tough. I am so proud to call this man a friend. I want to make sure I get this in. Look, we did about 51 minutes worth of breaking news all over the world. Congressman Corey Mills, who I am proud to call a friend, has dropped what he is doing and is in the state of North Carolina helping out American citizens. Check this out.
Whenever you're ready.
Hey guys, Congressman Corey Mills, Florida 7th District. Just got harnessed up. Teams doing last-minute checks on hoist operations. You'll see we got the basket and everything. We're starting to just look and work on those. We've got 5 different locations that we're looking at today. One location has 5 elderly. A couple of others have an 8-year-old and a mother. So we're going to try and see in some of those areas, whether it be Burnsville, whether it be out in Poplar area, or higher up on the mountain, what we're going to be looking at is areas that are harder to get to that we can utilize hoist operations if they don't have 100 by 100 clearance. See if we can get in there, do a welfare check, see if we can drop some supplies, or in some cases, get them to Memorial Hospital or to a closer facility so they can get the necessary medical care that they may need. So today we're going to focus mostly on search and rescue, hoist operations, and we'll give you an update later on in the day. Have a great day.
So Congressman Corey Mills dropped what he was doing on his own dime, going to North Carolina and rescuing people trapped from Hurricane Helene. Just in case there's any local elected official watching this who got very upset that I invited Congressman Corey Mills up to New York for a fundraiser, just so you know, that's what an American hero looks like. I'll do it then. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it today. And if you've got a problem with that, you can go ahead. There you go. There's my clip for the day. Guys, keep it locked in here on LFA TV all day for all of the breaking news. Ryan Mott is going to be coming up next. No, not him. Don't worry. I just want to give, once again, a big shout out to Congressman Corey Mills on his own dime in North Carolina, saving lives, bringing supplies to the people who need it. Jackie, you know who I'm talking about. Jackie, wait. I'll text you after the show. Congressman Corey Mills, absolutely out there, saving American lives. A true American hero. I do it again every single day of the week. Guys, before we wrap up today, once again, I had so much stuff I wanted to talk to you about today. I wanted to talk to you about the Supreme Court. I wanted to talk to you about a whole bunch of things. But it turns out Iran did not want me to communicate with you today. Before we leave today, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. There are so many new items on this website, I can't even keep up. There's literally 3 new things from yesterday. Whoever is putting this website together absolutely kicks ass. I just want to say that out loud one more time. Absolutely kicks butt. Whoever's putting that together. Look at all the fun stuff for the dogs. There's so many doggy drinks over here. That's how you know I'm not building the website. Guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com and use promo code LFA to get 20% off everything on the website. Promo code LFA to get 20% off everything on the website. Guys, go to donewithdebt.com, tryarmor.com/LFA TV. Go to the LFA TV store. Keep it locked in here. Ryan Mata coming up next. I'll be back at 7 p.m. for pre and post debate coverage. Giddy up. Let's go. Stay loud.